The Dark Knight has seen several directors attempt to bring the lycra-clad billionaire to life and immerse us in his world, and although we know Joel Schumacher shouldn't have bothered, the rest have pretty much delivered their vision. The question is, who made you fall in love with the chisel-chinned gadget magnate? And who had you scrolling through your phone after 10 minutes, wondering how Beryl from school can afford so many holidays every year? For most people, Batman entered the public conscious in the 1960s, with Adam West's iconic stint as the Caped Crusader, although his cape was more of an inconvenient napkin than the set of wings and Kevlar shields they have become. It existed as a series for 2 years, and spawned a spin-off movie between seasons, although it was sold all around the world and repeated several times over the following decades, capturing many generations who hadn't even been born when the show was originally aired. With little competition, Adam West was effectively Batman for a solid 20 years. We can all complain about modern movies being consumed by CGI, but whenever you watch Batman and Robin walking up the side of a building, you have to be grateful we moved on at least a little bit. Why you couldn't just invent a key that let him into the stairwell is one of the many unsolved mysteries of modern cinema. As endearing as it was ridiculous, it set a tone for the audience that told you they weren't being serious, so you should just enjoy the show and wait for Batman to win. And if there was any lingering doubt about that message, all you had to do was wait for a fight scene. We're told Christian Bale spent months learning Israeli martial arts for his stint in the suit, whereas Adam West simply looked around for anybody who wasn't Robin and swung a punch vaguely in their direction. The lack of contact masked by pow and bam cartoon bubbles that made you love the effort, if not entirely respect or idolise it. The Batcave wasn't dark and mysterious, but studio lit so you could see the array of machinery Bruce Wayne had collected, all conveniently labelled in big letters so you didn't spectrograph the evidence when you were supposed to transmemograph it. It harks back to a time when the world the television presented was simple and pleasant, if only it had been even close to the truth. The first challenger for West's crown saw the franchise handed to Tim Burton, who cast his gothic magic all across Gotham way back in 1989, and who could ever say it didn't work out a treat? With no attempt to ground the film in reality, Burton was inspired by the darkness of the comics rather than the cartoon style of the 60s. The world he creates is consistent and believable enough to not worry about silly things like being dropped in a vat of acid, leaving you with nothing more than a chirpy grin and a pale complexion. As Jack Nicholson's take on the Joker ignores the obvious mental problems he should have had from such a trauma, and squeezes every last drop of joy from being a psychopath with megalomaniac tendencies. Michael Keaton simmers on the edge of madness, whether he's Batman or Bruce Wayne, in a role perfect for a face that looks like it's trying to work out a Sudoku whilst weighing up whether or not to stab you in the eye. And Kim Basinger plays a love interest who could be the main protagonist of her own film about a photojournalist. Such is the depth of character she brings to it. After such a successful project, it was difficult to know how to better it, but Batman Returns reaches parity, if not achieves more. Gotham feels more like a home than a backdrop, one that Danny DeVito's Penguin is determined to destroy from his underground lair. If you do ever have to actually live in a sewer, I suggest you choose this version over the ones you see Brazilian street kids living in. But the tone Tim Burton creates allows you to forget what actually flows through such places and enjoy the army of penguins that happily exist there. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is yet to be bettered, and Christopher Walken hangs around being awesome as only he knows how. It portrays a relatively safe universe where jeopardy will never unfold into true tragedy, even if a few people have to suffer before good wins out. Even the deaths of the bad guys are clean and feel like it was what they wanted and had come to expect. The revamp should have ended there, maybe with Tim Burton and Batman getting married on the ledge of a skyscraper, but alas, the studio dumped the emo overlord and carried on. Had Joel Schumacher not been following on from 2 modern classics, he may have got away with his neon-laden interpretation of Gotham in Batman Forever. Had Val Kilmer stuck to being a chin in a mask and not spoken, he may have been accepted as either character. Had Jim Carrey not stolen the show as the Riddler, this may have induced an instant forgotten shrug from the general public as the project seriously lost its way. But once Batman and Robin hit the screens, it was so lost nobody ever expected to find the corpse, mainly because they couldn't be bothered to look. Arnie would have been scarier had he just played himself on a tetchy day. Uma Thurman did the best with what she had. And Alicia Silverstone appeared to have been hired just so they could show us her bum in a leather suit. And I like George Clooney, but that chin and cheeky smile shouldn't be anywhere near Gotham. With the budget of a small country and the dark and sinister platform handed down by Tim Burton, the whole project was more concerned with merchandising the film than making it remotely watchable. Shifting the tone towards the Adam West end of the spectrum to make it family friendly, they forgot to include any of the charm or witty nod to the audience, or decent story, or moments of tension, or light humour, or heavy humour, or anything of interest at all. Everyone involved somewhat disowned the whole thing, and apologised, but as far as we're aware, didn't hand any of the money back to the audience. And believe me, I've been checking the post for my £4 cheque for 30 years. Christopher Nolan is one of all things movies' favourite people, so when he declared he was bringing the franchise back, we could only hope he wasn't about to destroy two legends in one swoop. He didn't. Not only did he make a great film, but he brought Gotham into the modern world and made it tangible. He gave Bruce Wayne a genuine purpose to become Batman. Wayne Industries was a global corporation, dealing with all the things such mega companies do. He travelled to real places, he learned his limitations, then he climbed up a mountain and became a ninja with access to his own supply of military hardware. It sits at the far end of the periphery of reality, but it does hover there just enough for you to buy into Gotham as a real city that really exists, even if the population of the local asylum nicked the key to the dressing up box on the way out the door. Even that is explained as a game of one-upmanship between good and evil. By the time the sequel comes around, Heath Ledger's interpretation of the Joker takes things to a new level. Rather than creating a supervillain, he introduces you to a damaged human that has turned his long list of mental issues into a profitable business model within the underworld. He's somehow terrifying, yet vulnerable, and looks incredible on a well-lit poster. Nolan did more than continue the franchise. Just as Jason Bourne showed James Bond how to step into the future, Nolan created a new pathway and a new reality for all heroes to inhabit. One that a cynical generation could take seriously, and fans of cool stunts in capes could sit back and enjoy. Although I was a bit put out by the lack of Batman action in Dark Knight Rises. Matt Reeves is our final contender, although with his work unfinished, we can only judge on where we're up to. We won't be dignifying Batman vs Superman with any mention beyond this sentence, and we all know why. With the world of home entertainment shifting continually beneath our feet, the idea of a movie spawned by a series is as old-fashioned as renting a telly. With box sets that don't come in boxes being the preferred choice of consumption, the Batman universe has been expanded expertly across both mediums. Although Matt Reeves merely produced the series, Penguin delivers the quality tale of an unknown criminal rising through the gangster hierarchy until he becomes the Kingpin. The fact he has a funny face and referred to as the Penguin removes the excessive caricature we're presented with in every other iteration, and puts it back in the realm of almost believable. His cameo in the first Batman film is a thing of genius, as lights begin flashing in our minds and the world of Gotham grows in both depth and intrigue. Bruce Wayne's story begins with Batman slowly introducing himself to the public through action, rather than cutting the ribbon to open a store as they do in Batman and Robin. With one police officer openly wondering why some guy is wandering around the crime scene in a stupid suit, a question previously left hanging in the minds of the less easily convinced viewer. It adds an awareness and grounding to DC's greatest creation, one that appears to have stuck and will remain there well into the future. Choosing Robert Pattinson to fill the suit is another nod to the unexpected. Far from being anybody's idea of a rough, tough vigilante, it shows the simmering unpredictability of Michael Keaton winning out over Bale's bounding muscles. Intent will most often win out over technique and size. Just ask Goliath. So, who did it best? We picked Joel Schumacher. Only kidding. As much as we know controversy sells, we're not about to slit our own critical throats. In summation, with Matt Reeves still to show his completed vision, it would be hard to announce him as the victor, yet. But what he has begun is as impressive as it is satisfying. Tim Burton was also robbed of completing his masterpiece, but the two films that exist are as good as it gets when recreating a comic book reality, and will always be a firm favourite on any personal list. He certainly set a bar to leap over, but Christopher Nolan cleared it by at least half a foot. He didn't attempt to add another instalment to a glorious franchise, he evolved it, and showed how comics and reality could coexist on the same plane, and yet remain worlds apart. It managed to question modern politics and economics, yet still provide all the car chases, fight scenes, and cool gadgets that any fan could wish for. It changed things for the better, and will remain a turning point in cinema for many years to come. So there you have it, our opinion, but you'll have yours. And just because you haven't typed it out and edited a load of clips to sit alongside it, there's no reason not to share it below. We're always happy to acknowledge our thoughts are not yours, and that's what makes humans great-ish. Like us, subscribe to us, tell your friends to watch us, disagree with us, worship us, send us money, give us a slot on your podcast, or just ignore it all, and carry on with your day.